Let's get you back into that Michigan courtroom for the fake workers' home invasion. Defendants Carlos Hernandez and Joshua Zuazo, they're charged with felony murder after they are accused of posing as energy workers and then killing a jewelry store owner, Hussein Murray. This was back in October 11th of this year. So we're looking at the 3-hour-long hearing that took place earlier this month. We're listening to testimony from the victim's widow, Linda Murray. She's just talked about these two men gaining access to their home, asking her husband to see the furnace. Then here's what happened next.
What happened as your husband approached the door leading down to the basement?
Mr. Zuazo went into the laundry room. I thought he would look for the gas leak by the dryer, but he didn't. And Mr. Hernandez said that he forgot his meter, and he had to go get it from the truck.
Okay, and at that point in time, had anybody started to go down into the basement?
No.
Okay. Did Mr. Hernandez go someplace different after he made that statement?
I don't know exactly where he went. He went toward the front door.
Okay, and your husband was still there with the defendant Zuazo at that point?
Yes.
And how long would you say it was after defendant Hernandez walked away that he returned? How much time do you think went by?
A minute, less than a minute.
Okay. When he returned, did you notice any type of meter in his hand or anything different than you had seen before?
No.
What happened after Mr. Defendant Hernandez had returned?
My husband and Mr. Zuazo started going down into the basement, and Mr. Hernandez was behind them.
Okay, so your husband was leading the way down the stairs. Is that correct?
Yes.
And behind him was Defendant Zuazo?
Yes.
And behind him was Defendant Hernandez?
Yes.
And where did you go when they proceeded down the stairs?
Went back into the kitchen to finish making breakfast.
Okay. Now, does that door to the is there a door to the downstairs?
Yes.
As best you remember, was that door, did it remain open or did somebody close it?
It was closed.
Okay. And from where you positioned yourself in the kitchen, how far would you say you were from that door leading downstairs at that point?
About 6 feet, 10 feet maybe.
Okay. Not very far?
No, not very far.
Okay. Now, your husband, knowing we all have different manners of speaking. Okay. In your relationship, in your experience with your husband, is your husband a soft talker, a loud talker, a normal tone talker? How would you describe his volume?
He's very loud.
Okay. When your husband and the two defendants go down into the basement, do you hear your husband say anything?
No.
Do you hear anybody else say anything?
No.
Do you hear any type of commotion down in the basement?
No.
And of course, as someone who's not great at hearing anymore, the natural question is, how is your hearing?
Diminished somewhat, but not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you didn't hear anything for the time period they were downstairs?
No.
Do you remain at the kitchen table the entire time that everybody was downstairs?
Yes.
How much time would you say, as best you can recollect, because we know you're not looking at your watch and timing things, in your best estimate, how much time do you think they were downstairs before somebody came up the stairs?
I'm going to say about maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Okay. When somebody finally comes up in that 10, 15 minute period of time, who is the first person up the stairs?
Mr. Hernandez.
Okay. And where does Mr. Hernandez go once he's up the stairs?
In the hallway by the basement door.
Okay. Does Mr. Defendant Zuazo come up the stairs?
Yes.
How much time delay after Defendant Hernandez is up is it until Defendant Zuazo appears?
Seconds. He was right behind them.
Okay. What happens once both defendants are up the stairs?
Mr. Hernandez asks me, where is the safe? And I said, we don't have one. And then he said, where is the jewelry? And I said, in a bank at the safety deposit box.
Okay, when he says this, because you're seated some distance away from
No.
the top of the stairs, did you stand up at that point?
Yes.
Okay. When you stood up, did you close the gap to the defendants, or did they close the gap on you?
I don't recall.
Okay. How close is Defendant Hernandez when he asks you, where is the safe?
The first time it was about a couple feet.
Okay. And what's the response after you indicate you don't have a safe and the jewelry is in a safety deposit box? What happens then?
He asks me, where is the money?
And when you say he, you're talking about
Mr. Hernandez.
Defendant Hernandez. Okay. What did you say about where is the money?
I said that all we have in the house is what I have in my purse and what my husband has in his pocket.
Okay. Do you recall how much cash approximately you had in your purse that morning?
About 300.
Okay. And your husband?
Only $300 inside of their house when these men were looking for a safe with jewelry inside. We have more testimony from this widow. She's actually going to be cross-examined at this probable cause hearing. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
They came to the door and said that they were DTE employees and that they were checking for a gas leak.
A completely disturbing and unforgivable act, in my opinion.
We're DTE, we're checking for gas leaks.
Mr. Hernandez and Mr. Zuazo came into the house, and my husband was going to show them where the basement was.
When we asked him why only one victim was killed, he became irate and yelled something along the lines of, "What do you mean, why did we kill only one? It wasn't supposed to go down like that."
Welcome to Court TV Live. I'm Judge Ashley Wilcott. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. This morning, we are bringing you a preliminary hearing in the fake workers' home invasion case in Michigan. Two defendants, Carlos Hernandez and Joshua Zuazo, are charged with murdering Hussein Murray in October of this year and then holding the victim's wife hostage. Prosecutors say the two men pretended to be utility workers checking on a gas leak to get access into the victim's home. And this was captured on the Ring security video. There you can see it. Both men are seen wearing utility worker uniforms and masks. One is also holding a clipboard. Now, we just heard the victim's wife, Linda Murray, testify about the defendants and after they came upstairs, what they did when they came up from the basement without her husband. Let's get you back into court for more of the direct examination of the victim's widow.
What did you see happen after you said your cash is in your purse?
Again, he asked me, where is the jewelry and where is the cash?
Okay. And what was your response to that?
The same, that the jewelry wasn't in the house and we didn't have cash except what I told him.
Okay. And what happened next?
I started asking, where's my husband? Where's my husband? And I didn't get a response. And when Mr. Zuazo came up the stairs, I saw blood on his vest. And I started screaming. And Mr. Hernandez hit me in the face to shut me up.
When Defendant Hernandez hit you on the face, what side of the face did he strike you on?
The left.
Okay. Did you sustain an injury from that?
Yes.
Did you sustain an injury that required medical treatment later?
Yes.
It was a hard hit.
Yes.
What happened after you were struck?
He asked me, before he removed his hand from my mouth, he asked me if I would stop screaming. And I said yes. And he sat me at the kitchen table.
Okay. Did either of them respond to you about what your husband was doing downstairs?
No.
What happened then?
I take that what I just said back because I was asking where's my husband, and Mr. Zuazo said he was sleeping.
Okay. what happens after Defendant Hernandez tells you to stop yelling and screaming?
He sits me at the kitchen table.
Okay. What happens to you while you're seated at the table?
He takes my watch off, my iPhone watch.
When you say he, again?
Mr. Hernandez, I'm sorry.
Okay. And then what happens? He takes your watch off?
Yes, he takes my watch off and puts it across the table where I could not reach it, and takes my cell phone and puts it in his pocket.
Okay. Then what happens?
Then he asks me if I have the car keys, and I said they're connected to my purse. So he takes the car keys to my car.
Okay. And what kind of car were you driving?
Infinity.
When you say he took the keys, is it keys on a fob? Is it just a fob? How do you describe that?
The keys were attached to my purse.
Okay. The keys themselves, did it have keys to the house on there, or was it just the car fob?
No, had the house key.
Okay. So you saw Defendant Hernandez take those items?
Yes,
Did you see anybody go through your purse?
Mr. Hernandez did.
Okay. And did you see him take cash from your purse?
Yes.
What happens after he's taken the cash from your purse?
That part's a little foggy, but I know that he taped up my legs together with duct tape, black duct tape, and my wrists together.
Okay. When you say he, it's okay, it's natural. It's not natural to testify, it's natural to talk.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes, okay. And you said it was black duct tape?
Yes.
Was that duct tape that you had in your house?
No.
What parts of your body were taped up by Defendant Hernandez?
My ankles together and my wrists together.
Okay. Where was Defendant Zuazo when this was taking place?
He was upstairs in the master bedroom.
Okay. What happens after your duct tape?
Mr. Zuazo was upstairs in the master bedroom, and I could hear the drawers hitting the floor. And then Mr. Hernandez was kind of nonchalant and opened one of the drawers in the kitchen, kind of looked at it and shut it. And Mr. Zuazo came down the stairs from upstairs.
Again, we understand you're not timing things, but what's your best estimate how long Defendant Zuazo was upstairs before he returned from upstairs?
Minutes. It wasn't very long.
Okay. Can you describe to us, did you have some jewelry in your master bedroom?
Yes,
And where was that kept?
in a jewelry box.
Okay. And what type of jewelry did you have in your bedroom?
It was costume jewelry.
So the jewelry that was up there wasn't very valuable, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Did you later go into the master bedroom and see it being disheveled and things askew?
Not that day, no.
Later you did?
Yes.
Okay. And were you missing jewelry?
Yes.
Later in the investigation, past this day, do detectives from the sheriff's office end up showing you photographs of jewelry that was recovered?
Yes.
And did you identify items of jewelry that were recovered that were yours?
Yes.
And those items were missing after the 11th from your room?
Yes.
When Defendant Zuazo comes back downstairs, what happens next?
They're getting ready to leave, and they go into the garage. Mr. Hernandez and Mr. Zuazo go, no, they don't. They want me to put me in the closet. And I was standing up, but I couldn't move because of the bindings on my legs. So he sat me back down in the chair.
And you know what I'm going to ask you now? Which he are we talking about?
Which what?
Which he
Oh,
sat you
Mr.
back down?
Hernandez.
Okay. And then what happened?
Mr. Hernandez sat me in the chair, and then they walked to the garage.
Okay. Can you hear the garage door open?
Yes.
Okay. How long would you say they were in the garage before the garage door was opening?
Before it was opening,
How long do you think they spent in the garage before you could hear the garage door opening?
Seconds.
Okay. And they depart at that point?
I think I didn't see him, but I think Mr. Hernandez searched the car.
Okay. After they exited the garage, did they come back into the residence?
No.
Prior to the dates of either the 10th or the 11th, had you ever seen Defendant Hernandez or Defendant Zuazo before?
No.
Prior to the dates of the 10th and the 11th, had either of them ever been inside your house?
No.
Inside your residence, did you have in the basement area any type of zip ties?
No.
After the 11th, was your husband's side firearm missing from the residence?
Yes.
The Ring camera that was part of your residence, did you turn over that Ring camera video to the detectives?
Yes.
Have you had an opportunity to review People's Exhibit number 1, those Ring camera videos?
Yes.
Do they accurately reflect what was on those videos at the time?
Yes.
Your Honor, the people would move to publish People's Exhibit number 1, which is the Ring cameras videos.
Is it stipulated to? No, no.
I have no objection, Your Honor.
In the restaurant, so when she got rid of her.
It's DTE. DTE. I'm coming right, both guys will be coming around. DPE, I don't know, I think they're flying.
Well, we just got a question. Have you guys are you Mr. Hussein Murray?
Yeah.
Wesley?
Where at?
We gotta check your you have the house for the open meter? Well, thank you.
On the seat. Yeah. Hello? I'm sorry. Hello.
Is this the
Yes, yes.
I'm going to go home.
We need to
And I didn't want to bother you guys so late, but we had to check the outside.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. We want on the edge.
Listen, I did. How you doing today, sir? I'm all right. So, you want to read?
What am I saying for?
Just to give us consent to check the inside of the home. So what we have to do is we have to check for like cracks in the heat.
And Mrs. Murray, just to finish up, the taking of your items from your residence that day, that was against your will and against your consent?
Yes, against my will.
When you were struck, that was against your will?
Yes,
And being restrained, that was also against your will?
yes.
I don't have any other questions, Judge.